What is the international maybe take on what is going on here within the U.S.?
All right. So think about you're in business, right? How do you know if your product is working? Well, you're getting uptake from other customers, right? And so this is a key headline. This is this week. We're back in the present. Got the new tag in the left, just so everybody. We're going on a history retrace here, but this is another development this week. We saw Japan um, kind of tie off the last steps in its own kind of readiness for onboarding these they're US dollar stable coins is what it amounts to, but onboarding those stable coins into its financial system as payment service rails within its own within its own banking systems interaction with international capital markets. When I say international here, Japanese banks interacting with U.S. banks or financial institutions. So the key thing this week was it wrapped up the last regulatory approvals to onboard US dollar stablecoins issued by a foreign trust. So think of something like Circle or like the USDC coin, stuff like that. And this actually fills in a pressing need for Japan as you look at its own sovereign debt market. It's like the yen weakness, its need to import energy commodities. It needs a life raft. It's signaled like ever since the Takechi election win back in September, October last year, uh, the direction it wanted to go. Like we talked about the US election in 2024 being a referendum on the monetary path of the United States. That election with Takaichi was the same thing
Right.
for Japan. So it's adopting its own like onboarding of this whole vision, this framework that Besant is really the figurehead or leader behind, in my opinion. Um, but it's really that if you're thinking about this in terms of like code production, this is your merge to mainline. Like it's actually coming in and going into effect. Like all the pieces are there for this thing to start running in production now, which means, ooh, Japan needs to import oil. A lot of oil is going to be produced out of the Gulf of America and Caribbean Sea, coming out of both the American producers, Venezuela, etc. How's Japan going to pay for that? It's
Could be a new,
lining
yeah,
up well for you right here.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so then
So,
what's the
yeah.
response to this, right? Like, so that's obviously the pro stablecoin route. What might be the alternative to that?
All right. So your competitor, you always like you're competing in the product space, like as all businesses are doing. This one just happens to be money and settlement and payments. And if you think about the other kind of path we could have gone down, CBDCs, public money, and kind of the progression of the legacy system. All right, think about what we're seeing in the gold market right now. The markup in gold sounds a lot like monetizing the assets on the balance sheet of the United States, right? We supposedly still hold a lot of gold in
Yeah.
reserve. All right. The problem there is actually it's fractional reserve at the end of the day. You've got more paper claims on gold traded in futures, swaps, derivatives, etc., than there are actual gold bars in the vault. And what the kind of the system word for that in the like at the exchange level is unallocated gold. What it means is if you own a gold contract or a claim on a gold bar, it's not actually allocated to your account. You don't have a specific bar with a specific serial number. You just have a claim on a specific
Percentage
weight,
or
you
weight
know, a
of
number
the
of
total.
units
Yeah.
of bars in the vault and in a fractional reserve system, there's always more paper claims than there is actual gold. Similar concept in Bitcoin here. We're seeing it with a case Prime Trust.
Trust. Yep.
You've got more fractional reserve or more claims on Bitcoin than there are actual Bitcoin in vault or that your exchange holds the private keys to. We won't go down that road today, maybe a different episode.
Yep.
All right. So when I see this situation, so this is the reason, like the gold price is squeezing because there's a run on those bars of gold. This week, this was yesterday, we saw Hong Kong targets a July launch for its new gold clearing system. You say, ooh, new gold, right? You hear China, the Shanghai Gold Exchange, all of that, where massive amounts of volume and price discovery are shifting towards and taking place in the Shanghai market. This Hong Kong exchange, like notably, it settles trades they mentioned through unallocated accounts. So it's that same paper gold phenomenon on the bars of gold in the vault. They specifically mentioned plans to expand capacity to 2,000 tons within 3 years, 32,000 ounces in a ton. Talk about 5,000 to $10,000 an ounce gold. Potentially as this markup process continues, roughly half a trillion to a trillion and settlement. Like think about that as like the thickness of the pipe of financial
Mm,
tractions that can settle
the
through Hong
bandwidth.
Kong.
Yep.
And then you think about what is Hong Kong actually? It's your connecting nexus of mainland China and its economic exports. Uh, they literally flow out of Hong Kong, like a lot of goods ship from there. But it's also your financial nexus where the rest of the world's financial system can interact with the Chinese internal or domestic financial system. I say like mainland China,
Right.
CPC, all of that. Okay. And so this is really, in my mind, you're starting to see the two factions at play here in these two headlines. Tokyo aligning with the United States and its monetary direction, Hong Kong aligning with the legacy monetary direction, more of the same, right? So that's what I see here. And like and same thing as the Besant plan, what he described on his first week in the job. Um, this is a story that's going to play out over quarters and years. It's not going to happen overnight, but you're seeing these slow movements in terms of which way each of these competing kind of financial systems, frameworks, economic blocks, all of that are going in direction. And
Yep.
then if you think about the Japan kind of path as well, in my mind, we talk a lot about Pax Silica. Tokyo is kind of your main gateway for like the U.S. interaction or the Western Hemisphere interaction as a financial center with the Pax Silica supply chains economy. We talk about those all the time. Philippines, Singapore, and is in all of that.
Right.
But same way we talk about Hong Kong as the talk about the offshore dollar kind of nexus, like their systems gateway into mainland China. I'm thinking I am watching for Tokyo to emerge as the Western Hemisphere's nexus from a financial standpoint to interact with the Southeast Asian block of this bigger Pax Silica global supply chain that is the American vision for a 21st century economy.
Sure.